Howdy, folks. We got a little bit different content coming at you today. I'm still going to be doing the Berghoff athletics and whatnot, but I'm also going to be combining it with my other passion, and that's do-it-yourself auto mechanics, cars, trucks, motorcycles, you name it. I like working on engines. Like working on mechanical stuff, so that's what the other part of the channel is going to be. I'm going to rename the channel and to combine both of those. So for today's project, we are actually going to be working on here. Let me my 1981 Honda Goldwing GL 1100, and the thing that we're going to do today is I'm going to address a possible advance issue on the timing, the vacuum timing that I had, because I did some modifications to this bike already beforehand, and once I get the valence, or not the valence, but the plastics and the seat off, I'll go in depth with you guys on that, and I'll show you what I'm talking about. So I'll see you in a second. I'm going to take these parts off, and we'll have the bike stripped down, and then yeah, so see you in a second. Alrighty, folks, I'm back. So as you can see, we have all the seat and the plastics are off. So in case you guys don't know, the Honda Goldwing has a gas tank that is actually nested inside the frame. So the bit of plastic that most people would think is the gas tank really isn't. At least when I got it, I thought it was the gas tank, and it's not. It's just a plastic covering to kind of give it that look. Now, what I did with my Honda, is I swapped out the carburetors. This right here is the mess it had originally. It's a 4 carburetor system with one fuel line that feeds all 4 carburetors in a, I guess it's like a kind of like a series or however. And when I got the bike, it had a gas leak, like maybe one of the needles was stuck or something. However, I rebuilt it, put in new needles, new seats, and I was still having issues with it. So there are special tools to actually tune these. Apparently they use vacuum pressure to tune them and whatnot. It's very complicated, and way more complicated than my level of mechanics. So what I ended up doing was buying a kit from a company that ended up being in Lithuania, or at least that's where the parts came from. And what that kit was a manifold that tied into the original intake tubes that ran off of each carburetor, and then a carburetor itself, which this carburetor is a Volkswagen carburetor. It's a single barrel, and yeah, it it is a lot more simple than what was originally on it. The one thing I did different as far as mounting the carburetor is I actually ended up wiring in right here provisions for electric choke, because this carburetor actually has electric choke. The original carburetors had a manual choke. And then I also had to delete a cable, because the that cable had a throttle return cable as well as a throttle cable. With how the linkages were set up for it and all that, it was, believe me, it was a nightmare. After I rebuilt it, and to literally get in there, I had to pull the tank out of the back of the bike, because that's how it comes out. And to do that, you have to take the rear wheel completely off. So yeah, it was a hassle. I never actually got it running right after the rebuild. However, when I put this carburetor and this manifold on, 2 cranks and it fired. Now, the one thing I neglected to do, and I thought I didn't have to do it, but after starting it up earlier this 2 weeks ago, I found out that it not only has mechanical advance, it also has a vacuum advance. And that's literally the only vacuum port on the carburetor or the original carburetors, is that vacuum port right there. So the carburetor that came with this kit I bought had 2 vacuum ports, and so I kind of just looped them together just for the time being, because I didn't know what I needed them for, or if I needed them at all. So what I have to do is get this guy up to here, and what I'm thinking though is that these are going to be 2 different sizes, this hose here, and then that port right there. So my next challenge is going to be getting that together, and I don't even know if I have the length of hose I need, but I will try to make something work. But yeah, and when I do that, it should hopefully run better, because when I got it going a couple weeks ago, it did sound like it had a miss, and that could be because it's not advancing far enough under throttle. So I'm going to leave you with that right now. I'm going to see if I have any. I want to brainstorm this guy and see if I have what I need to do it, and I will see you guys in a few with my results. Alrighty folks, had to make a part run, got some vacuum line, and then for the extra vacuum port on the carburetor, got some caps, various sizes, so that if I ever need any in the future, I got them. So I'm going to measure this length out, add about 6 inches to it, and then cut it up and get it going. So see you in a second. Alrighty folks, well, I got that hose on there and routed. Now there was a slight size difference between the vacuum port there and the port there. They were different sizes, obviously. Happens when you're not going from stuff designed to go together. So this side was the tighter side to get on. I mean, like really tight. And then this side was the slightly looser side, and that's why that side gets the clamp, because these are spring clamps. And the other one decided to go to infinity and beyond. So I'll probably find it 5 years from now when I sweep out my garage, but for now it is holding on to this guy because it is the looser of the two. And then the other port has been capped off, so I shouldn't have any even more vacuum leaks. Had my battery on the charger, and we're gonna see how this baby does. Actually, I'm going to crank it I'm going to crank it with the ignition off just to try and get prime the fuel pump just a little bit, and then I'll run it with the kill switch on. So, alrighty, should have primed the fuel pump nicely, and here we go. Not going to lie, that was probably the easiest it started in a long time. I might want to bump the idle up a little bit, just because this bike can rev up to pretty high. So some tuning on the carburetor is required, but as far as the vacuum stuff, sounds like it's good to go. Alrighty folks, this is going to be my outro. Not sure how well you heard me over the bike on that last clip, but yeah, that's the easiest this bike has started since I put the new carburetor on, and that's the easiest, and even that was easier still than when, like I said, after I did the rebuild, I couldn't get it to start with those 4 carburetors. So the intake manifold that I bought for this guy, I'm really happy with it. It was really well made. Now, and I bought this stuff over a year ago. It's taken me a while. Life happens. Unlike a lot of folks, I didn't actually ever stop working during this whole world situation, shall we say. I was working every day, and I was on nights, so it made it real difficult to try and work on stuff for like 4 hours at a time, and you don't see a lot of progress in that. But I'm on day schedule now, so I will be having a lot more time during the day when people are awake and everything, and I'm not worried about waking anyone up or how noisy I am to work on stuff. So bike was the first trial run of the new portion of the channel, yeah, so welcome to Berghoff Athletics and Automotive. If you like what you see, please like, share, subscribe, and I will see you in the next one. I am probably going to replace the spark plugs on it. Person I bought it from says he more than likely did replace the spark plugs, and I trust the guy. In fact, he is my mom's significant other, life partner, however you want to say it. So yeah, he really hooked me up with this bike. It's my first bike ever, and I've wanted one since I was 12. He gave me a good price on it, and I enjoy riding it. It's a blast. It's nice. It's smooth. It's not a Harley, and I know some folks are going to rag on me for that because it's not a Harley, but it's a really nice, smooth bike. It's got plenty of power for me. It's an 1100. It's a 5-speed transmission on it, so it gets up and scoots when it needs to, but it is also still just a cruiser. It's an upright cruiser, but it's still a cruiser. So it's a blast to ride, and you can ride multiple hours at a time with it. In fact, the first ride I did with my wife, we rode about 3 hours round trip, and we both enjoyed it. It was a great, fun experience. It didn't blast our eardrums with the mufflers and whatnot. So Anyway, he said he replaced the spark plugs in it. I believe it, but because the bike has sat after I got it because of the issues with the carburetors that popped up and whatnot, when that happened, my my fuel pump dried out, and one of the seals on the fuel pump is what seals it off the oil from the motor off from the fuel pump itself, and that seal went out. I started spewing oil from my weep hole when I got it started up again, and I'm fairly certain oil got inside the engine from that, and I think it's fouled one or two spark plugs. So I'm just going to do a whole set of 4 and call it good. But anyway, as I said before, if you like what you see, like and subscribe. I'll have more automotive content coming, not as readily as the gym content, just because automotive stuff is a little bit more price based or affordability based. But I'll do what I can. Just quick videos of me maintaining my vehicles here. I actually have quite a fleet right now. I have the bike, my Suburban, my wife's van, and then my brother-in-law who's staying with us, his Buick. So I have quite a few vehicles, and we'll do what we need to do to maintain them. I have ideas for what I want to do with my Suburban when I get to the point of affording it. So if you want to see that stuff, just stick around, and catch you on the next one, guys.